Good morning. It's Wednesday, August 11th. And this morning I want to talk about the United States, about being a free country. And some in this country may feel that we are too free. And then there are others who feel that we are not free enough. And why do I say that? I say that because in this country, we have many organizations that are either on the far right or the far left. But today I'm talking about the far right more than anything else. And I want to talk about an organization that has been put together to monitor the activities of the far right, the extremist group, the white nationalist groups that post their manifestos out in cyberspace for many to read. And we're talking about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Google, perhaps. Many places where these manifestos can reach the public and possibly convert many people who are dissatisfied with their lives to a cause that eventually could possibly bring this country down. Now, this counter-terror organization has been formed by some of the biggest U.S. tech companies, including Facebook and Microsoft, as I mentioned before. And it's significantly expanding the types of extremist content shared between firms in a key database, aiming to crack down on the material from white supremacists and far-right militias. That's their cause. Up until now, this organization called the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism has a database that has focused on videos and images from terrorist groups on the United Nations list. So most of the stuff they've collected up to this point has come from Islamist extreme organizations like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and the Islamic State. But now they're going to turn their expertise, domestic terrorism that exists in the United States. Now, the methodology that they use is something that I'm somewhat familiar with. It takes pictures and words and creates numbers from them, because all those pictures and words have what we call a bit configuration. And so by producing a bit configuration, you can then match similar bit configurations and determine that these are not necessarily happy pictures or happy sentences. Okay? So that's how the system really works, because it would take too much to really carry these images and printed documents in their pictorial forms. So they've created this, what I will call bit image of, let's call it fascism. So in the next few months, the group is going to add the attacker manifestos, those manifestos that are shared by the sympathizers of white supremacist violence, and other public documents that have been flagged by the UN initiative, Tech Against Terrorism. And it will use the group called Five Eyes, which is an intelligence gathering group. And they will be adding URLs and PDFs from groups including the Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, and the neo-Nazis, and the Oath Takers. They will be adding all of that stuff to this database of domestic terrorism. Now, as I said before, this is a tricky business, because when you get into looking at the information that is being spewed by these groups, there are many who will argue that we have overstepped our bounds, that we have privacy in this country. We have protection against using the words that people say against them. But we have to do something. The rise of what I shall call white nationalism, anti-Semitism, black hatred, has risen dramatically in this country over the last couple of years. And these views should not be out there in cyberspace for all to read, and for many of the disgruntled to pick up and decide that that's a good idea. So I think it's great that Twitter and Alphabet and YouTube and Instagram can share what we will call hashes, these unique numerical representations of the original pieces of hatred, and have them removed from their services. And eventually, other platforms will be able to use those hashes to attack the same content on their sites too. So this project will reduce the amount of extremist content on many of the mainstream platforms. However, it will not be able to eliminate this content from cyberspace. These groups will still be able to post their violent images and their rhetoric on many other sites and parts of the internet. Because not everybody uses Twitter or Instagram or YouTube. There are many smaller sites out there that would probably benefit from the fact that the large tech are refusing to put this hatred out on their sites. But as I said before, there will be many screaming that these big techs have gone too far. They are trying to silence the voice of the opposition. Well, the voice of the opposition should be silenced when it can lead to an event like January 6th. So this is something that needs our attention now. And I'm in favor of big tech being able to do this, and I appreciate the sophistication of the software that they're attempting to put into place. And it bothers me that there are many in this country who can overlook these things because of what they view as the privacy issue. But privacy is okay, but not when it's detrimental, not when it can lead to something like January 6th. And so we should all be behind these tech firms that are trying to do away with this extremist content. And we should be on their side when many will scream about concerns for censorship. Well, we're not going back to the 1930s like they censored the movies in those days. We have moved much past that. And we should move much past that with respect to this hate that is spewed by these extremist organizations. And so I leave you with that thought. We're fighting back. Maybe it's a little late, but we're fighting back against these extremist organizations using technology. And I like that. So I'll leave you with that this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.